Okay, I think we're on the correct channels now. Apologies. Hey, Bat Bunch! Welcome to a little bit different of a Yammer time today. It's such a different Yammer time that I actually have to go over some, like, rules. So, we will be talking about my old employer. And my old employer was a VTuber agency named V-Reverie. We might have some V-Reverie fans in the chat. We might have fans of the talents who used to be associated with V-Reverie. That is lovely. Continue to support them. Let's try to not involve them in the conversation tonight, because I want to respect the fact that they've all moved on from the company. And I don't want to bring up what could possibly be the worst 2 years of their career back up to them. However, you know, I talk about this stuff all the time. For those of you who might be, like, new here, my name is Yam Albat. I am an independent VTuber manager, and I have 7 lovely independent talents now. I have bounced back from this, this interesting company just fine. Don't worry about me. I also work as an agency consultant, not an agency manager currently. So yeah, I would say that you can ask me questions. Okay? You can ask me questions. Do not direct any of those questions to anyone else who was involved in the company. Okay? Only me. You can ask me whatever, and I'll try my best to answer. Okay? That being said, I also want to give you a little bit of a perspective on the timeline. I only worked at V-Reverie for the last 25% of the company. Right before everything fell apart. So, I don't have the full experience from conception all the way to death. Okay? I kind of didn't even feel like me talking about it was gonna be helpful, because I feel like I only experienced like 25% of everything, and obviously it was the talents who suffered way more than me. I just want to preface that. Like, I thought it was a bad company to work for. It would have been 10 times worse for a talent, and it would have been 10 times worse for a talent who started in the company from day one. So, that being said, you guys want to head over to gaming? Let's yap about it. Okay. This is not a fitting BGM. This is not a fitting BGM. Let's change BGMs real quick before anything else. It's like happy and peppy. Let's just have a little bit of ambience on the background. Firefox. Alright. This should be good? Yeah, okay. This is the wrong window. Haha. Silly. Firefox. Oh, he's capturing the wrong window. Okay. Yeah? There it is. Okay. So, this was not my first VTuber agency job, but it is the one we're talking about today. Back in 2023, I got... Oh, yeah. Just a little ambience. Okay, so back in 2023, I got scouted. And some of these details are going to be fuzzy just because it's been a while, and I suffer from bat brain. But I did get scouted. I just got a random DM from... I'm gonna make up names now because, and I'm gonna have to remember these names, so I'm gonna write them down so I remember these names throughout the thing so I can keep them consistent. So I got a random scout DM from a girl named Daisy. And this girl named Daisy, she was kind of like the editor and the content manager at VReverie. And I was just like, I do want to work in agencies again. I was currently looking for work, and Daisy had seen my YouTube channel, and she was like, hey, do you want to be talent coordinator at this company, like VReverie? And I was like, oh, okay, like, great. I'm looking for remote work. I work in VTubers professionally. So I just like sent her over my stuff, and I was just like, okay, great. She prefaced like, hey, like, we need someone fast. And, you know, talent coordinator, she kind of like joked like, ha ha ha, we need someone who's good at putting out fires. And I'm like, huh. Okay. Well, I'm pretty good at conflict resolution. I didn't know exactly like what kind of conflict resolution, but I was just like so excited to be getting another agency opportunity. And so I was just like going with the flow. She's like, let me try to set up something for you. This was like, I want to say November of 2023. She was like, oh no, even before that, it was like October 2023. She was like, hey, so like, let me try and arrange a meeting with the two founders of VReverie, and we'll go from there. And I was like, oh, okay, whoa, meeting the founders right away. But then for a little bit, they were like dragging their heels, so I had time to research into the company. And I was just like, okay, now that I'm researching into the company, it looks great. They actually have like really big talents. I was like looking at all their talents, I'm like, wow, this girl Nova, she's into Yu-Gi-Oh! And oh my gosh, they're so talented. And they have, some of them have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. This is amazing for a Singaporean company. I also speak Mandarin, so I feel like that's gonna be useful in a Singaporean company. And I was very excited. I saw like 2 Reddit threads at the time saying like, I wonder what's going on with VReverie. But nothing too bad because, you know, I am a person who does my research and, you know, everything seemed pretty normal. And I was very excited for my interview that kept getting postponed. Little did I know it was getting postponed because, as we will learn, I'm gonna give I'm gonna give these 2 founders a name. Okay, so one of them... Man, interesting names. We're gonna name them... Let's name one Lyle. And the other one... Harry? Okay, Lyle and Harry. Okay, so... Daisy arranges me to get in a call with Lyle and Harry. and I'm just like so excited. But I talked to my friends ahead of time, just like I haven't been in the VTuber agency sphere in a while, and the first time didn't go so well. Like, what do I do here? Like, they were just like, oh, you know what? Yam, you need an alter ego. Don't go as Yam because that's gonna like tarnish your brand. My friends also said like, oh, just like, you know, just go in confident, even though you've never been a talent coordinator. You know, just be confident in the ability to manage VTubers because you have the experience. I'm like, okay, great. So I got into the meeting thinking this is like my big break. I'm so excited. I'm so like shocked it's happening. Daisy and I think it was Daisy and Harry show up. Lyle is not there. And Daisy is silent the entire time, so it's just me and Harry. And Harry is weirdly casual about the whole thing. I'm like, whoa, I thought like this is a CEO of a big company and stuff like this. It's kind of interesting. And right from the get-go, he's just like, yeah, we really need someone who's really good at putting out fires, conflict resolution. I'm hearing these buzzwords again. I'm just like, huh. I thought to myself, oh, the talents must be fighting with each other. Until Harry says, so yeah, some of them, you know, they just don't trust like they should. There's no communication between upper management. Upper management, by the way, is just Lyle and Harry. Whenever they said upper management, it was just Lyle and Harry. He just said, there is, no communication between certain talents and upper management at this point. So we need to hire a bridge between our talents and upper management. So your job is going to be meeting with the talents, figuring out what they need, and then coming to us and communicating with the talents what they need, you know. So I was like the bridge of the communication, and then on top of that, I would be doing the management duties, you know, the regular meet with them, help them plan things, look at their schedules, stuff like that. So that was my interview, and he was already like, you're ready to put out fires, right? I'm like, oh, okay. I was so like Genki go-getter, like, yes, this giant company wants me to help them with communication, and I'm really good at communication, so I think I'm a great fit for this. But I did heed my friend's warnings. I set up a alternate ego, and so when we were like contract signing and everything, I looked at the contract. Contract was pretty good, by the way. I do have a censored copy of the contract, but it really it's a nothing burger, so I feel like it's kind of a waste of time to go over it, because it's a completely fine contract for me. Like a 2-year NDA, very standard stuff, which is why I figured like, oh, this company must be fine because my contract looks fine. Spoiler alert, the other contracts weren't fine, but my contract as a talent coordinator was totally fine. In fact, it was one of the better contracts I signed in my time as a VTuber manager. But, like, you know, I was kind of wary, so I did tell them, hey, I don't want to go as Yam. I'm going to create a separate Discord. So I made a separate character. They're like, but, like, the whole point of us hiring you was because you're Yam and you are a very trusted member of the VTuber community. We're like trying to build trust with our talents. So it would have been really great if you could go as Yam. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I just really want to protect my brand here. I'm gonna like make a separate Discord. Here's my separate email. Here's my separate, like, everything. So I made myself a little character. I'll show you. Her name was Hazel Sandpiper. And I made a little pit crew to represent myself. And I even had a separate Discord, or I had a separate Discord server. I had a separate Twitter where I would also retweet all the talent stuff. And I made myself this little pit crew. I used this Sandpiper Irasutoya at the end of my communication sometimes. And all of the talents knew me as Hazel. Everyone called me Hazel in that company. Yeah. So, I was Hazel Sandpiper, and, you know, most of the talents didn't get the Yam connection. There was one talent who heard my voice and immediately knew who I was, which I thought was kind of funny. But I was very, very much excited and just thrilled to get started. I had a lot of optimism that I could turn this around, because I was just like, huh. You know, like, they're having a hard time with communication, but you know what? I'm really good at communication, and, you know, I'm really good at, I'm really good at building bridges and knowing exactly what talents want. So, my first week goes by. And every single, oh, actually no, my first week doesn't go by. My first day goes by. I have the shock of my life on day one. You guys want to know what happened day one? So I told you that I met Harry before. Harry and Daisy. There's one more person, the co-founder of VReverie, who I'm calling Lyle. So Harry seems like he's kind of blunt and he makes like jokes, but then there's also Lyle, who I meet on my first day, right? We have an upper management meeting, quote unquote, which is just Harry, Lyle, me, and then Daisy, but she's silent the whole time. Then I get handed a document that, to this day, this is the worst document I have ever been handed in my history of being a VTuber manager. Like, it made my stomach sick. So, but the crazy thing is, like, Harry, I think it was Lyle who made this document, but I'm not sure. So, I can't show you the document because it has talent names on it, obviously, and this is about me. This is from my perspective. So I'm not gonna say anything. But this document was handed to me, and the document, I'm gonna open it on my part so that I can be accurate. This is, yeah, the document, VReverie talent details. Here we go. I'm gonna have it open on my end. So they were just trying to give me the rundown on what's going on from their perspective, right? So I have all these details of the talents I was going to manage. Now, granted, when I started, there was already 2 talents who were, like, getting ready to leave, and I wasn't given their responsibilities. Those 2 were Cherry and I think Byako? Cherry Lupina. So Cherry was, oh, I don't need the Hazel Sandpiper stuff on the screen anymore. So Cherry was, like, getting ready to leave, and Erica Byako was getting ready to leave. So I didn't get handed their files or anything with them. I think I spoke to Cherry once. And then I was taking over the Catalyst generation and the remainder of Odyssey as their talent manager. And the talent coordinator. So I have this document in front of me, and it has the talents' names, and then it says, oh, this one is, you know, this is their focus niche, this is what they need done, this is what their community's like, this is what they're looking to grow in, right? But then they describe each of their personalities to me. And that's the part that makes my stomach sick. Okay? There's an ongoing theme with my time at V Reverie. The co-founders, the way they viewed women and the way they viewed VTubers, allegedly, from my perspective, is not like people. I feel like they described them more as anime girls. And more as, like, they had an interesting way of phrasing things so that I always felt like they were objectifying the talents. And that's when I started feeling sick. Day one. Yeah. They use, like, Channer? I'll say Channer terms to describe their talents on day one to me. And I'm just like, this is how you view your talents? What do you mean? Like, day one, you're talking to me and you are disrespecting them with the way you describe them. And it's a complete reflection on them. Complete reflection. I suddenly realized that these guys are not living in the same world as us. They're living in Delulu land, where, from my perspective, from my opinion, they really thought that they were just building a company to be surrounded by anime girls who should just be grateful for being there instead of employing women with hopes, dreams, and souls, you know? I've kept this document on in my files on my computer, and I just didn't want to open it again until tonight because it's not good. It's not, like, it's so weird to have such, like, a professional document of, oh, here's the niche, here's the CCV, blah, 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 and then it's just, like, the personality, when they describe the personality of women working at their company, they use very anime-coded, 4chan-coded, unprofessional language. And it's just, like, a stark contrast. I was already a little uncomfortable, but I was just like, oh, okay, maybe they're just like, because I've talked to many CEOs of many companies, I've talked to many teams of many companies, and there are some companies that have that kind of 4chan humor, but they can still get things done professionally. So I was wondering if they were just kind of like, I was a little in denial. I was just wondering if they were just kind of like doing the 4chan humor, but they would be professional. No. No. Writing was on the wall. Yeah. They effectively thought of them as walking tropes, but that's likely putting it mildly. Yeah, I would say that from my perspective, allegedly, that is how this document reads, for sure. And that's how they talked, for sure, like, from my perspective. So I was already a little uncomfortable. But I had my first week as a talent manager, and here's the part that I regret. I was still so optimistic. Still so optimistic and kind of blind and kind of in denial that I met with each and every one of my, let me see, how many was I in charge of? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, because it was Catalyst plus half of Odyssey because Cherry and Erica were leaving. And I basically said, One more thing about the document before I met with them. I will read this verbatim for you guys, just because I can. It says, for all talents, ensure they're posting their weekly schedule, ensure they maintain consistently in stream time slots, ensure their stream waiting rooms are up at least 24 hours, blah, 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 blah. Ensure that they're actively promoting their merch on their streams and socials. We'll get to the merch later. But they gave me 0 guidelines on what to do except for ensure they're doing this, ensure they're doing that, ensure they're doing that. Not, hey, here's how you can support our talents. Just a checklist of things you need to make these women do. Are you seeing the problem yet? That was the problem. So I, as someone who has supported VTuber talents and worked in professional settings, I was just like, okay, well, obviously I'm gonna continue to support them with more things than just the make sure they're doing that, make sure they're doing that. So I made myself a document guideline of like, this is actually the guidelines I use now of like, oh, hey, how are you doing? How did this week go? What are your goals for next week? Like, I made my own guidelines, right? But I had to, at the beginning of every single meeting, ensure that I was getting through all the checklist of the things that upper management wanted first before I could really actually support the talents. Yeah. So, hold on. What? I didn't pop out Twitch chat. Hold on, pop out chat just so I can catch up a little bit. Did they make you become an evil fast food shift manager that only cares about executive tasks? They tried, Eva Spate Mouse, but they couldn't break my spirit. I stayed kind to the end. But we'll get there. So, I went through meeting all of my talents, and I really just wanted to ask them, because my goal here was to bridge communication, right? So the first thing I did that week was ask them, so guys, what do you feel like needs to change at VReverie? Simple question, right? Every single one of them. Oh, this is the thing that can make me cry. Every single one of them is a kind soul who just wanted to keep it together for their audience. The reason why VReverie held it together for so long was not because of management. It was because the talents were, every single one of them, were all so sweet and genuinely such great creators that every single one of them was like, I need to hold it together for my audience. Some of them, of course, wanted to get their IP out of IP jail, which, ugh. We'll talk about IP jail, but most of them told me the communication has completely broken down, and they cited a few things about how upper management treated them. Now, I should reiterate that, again, upper management is 2 people. And then you've got Daisy as kind of like a content manager. This entire agency, from my perspective, there was like 1 more manager, but they never did anything to my knowledge. So this entire company that everyone revered, they had over 250,000 subscribers. It was 3 people in a Discord, 4 people in a Discord. And instead of supporting these talents in their VTuber activities, They literally just, like, enforced rules and told the VTubers what they needed to get done. So it's like they were indies, but also having to do... They had to do everything themselves, just like indies, right? From my perspective. I could be wrong, you know? Like, maybe people were doing stuff, but from my perspective, it looked like these girls were indies. But then they had to meet requirements. And they couldn't leave. Like... a lot of people say, oh, VReverie, like, fell apart because management sucked and lack of support. VReverie, like, was never, like, holding it together from my perspective. I mean, I came in at the last 25%, right? But VReverie wasn't holding it together from my perspective. They basically, like, the talents were doing everything. They were organizing everything, and they just had to check a few boxes, you know. Not a few, a lot of boxes. Because upper management was quite strict. So basically, I had to listen to the way that a lot of these talents were treated. And then be like, okay, in my optimism, I was like, okay, I'm gonna change things. I'm here for you guys. I'm gonna change things, and we're gonna turn this around, because I still had hope. And then a lot of the girls were like, oh, I'm so glad, and the other half of the girls were like, ha 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 ha, good luck. I mean, they were all sweet, but some of them had just, like, lost hope at that point, and I do not blame them. You know? Let me take a sip of water. So, I have a little document that I think I can show you. Because I wrote it. Not anyone else. I think it was me who... It's only me who wrote it. Let me just reread it one more time. To make sure that I... didn't name anyone or any specifics. Okay. Let me read this one really carefully. Okay, yes. Alright. Here you go. Can I open a PDF with Firefox and it'll show up, I think? Open with Firefox. Okay, and then I put it... Okay, yep. Alright. So... after my first week at my new company, as talent coordinator, it was up to me to communicate, be the bridge between the talents and upper management, right? So, I did that. My first communication with upper management for the week. So this was 1/1/2024. Current talent concerns and potential solutions. After meeting with each talent one-on-one this week, I have summarized the common sentiments as to how VReverie can potentially improve in its communication and structure moving forward. We can discuss these points in further detail. I said detain, but detail in our next meeting. Improving these current issues before Generation 3 arrives will ensure their warm welcome in the company. Contract renewals. We should hire some staff to review contracts. Like, Let's plan some future projects more efficiently, you know? Okay. Professionalism. Woohoo! I want to do my best to step up V-Revery's professional image, so that the company does not go down in history with an unfavorable reputation. In a professional work environment, talents will feel equally valued. Currently, many of the talents feel like their presence in the company does not matter either way. Some talents at V-Reverie feel more valued than others, and this creates a hostile work environment and greatly hurts V-Reverie's internal image. So yeah, they were playing mind games with the talents and making some of them feel hated. I would say actual bullying. Equal communication is key. Major announcements should be known in the public and in writing where all the talents can see them at the same time. They never did this because they were famous for not telling one of the talents that they announced her own graduation without her knowing. Yeah. Talents should not be hearing major announcements from single managers in private, nor should they be hearing major announcements via other talents. I will personally ask permission to make official communications to the talents wherever possible. Equal transparency builds trust and rebuilds the bridge of communication. Just doing my job! Alright, next. For individual things, management should maintain a professional relationship with all talents. Keeping things in chats with multiple staff members present will make the talents more comfortable, because some of them were getting inappropriate texts, allegedly, potentially, that were making them, you know, uncomfortable, whether that be bullying or, like, just not work topics, you know? The Discord discussion channel for each talent possesses their own Discord category and is the best place for communications to be facilitated, rather than direct messages. So here's the thing, they also, like, tried really hard to separate all the talents, you know, tried to, like, make sure that they weren't talking to each other, so that they could all treat them differently. And I was not okay with that. So I wanted everything to be in public discussions instead of in DMs. Staffing! This one's gonna age well too. After getting a feel for my job description and weekly duties at V-Reverie, I believe that my own threshold as a talent coordinator is managing a maximum of 6 VTubers at a time. The reason I'm saying this is because they were going to also give me the next generation. They were going to give me a whole nother generation of talents. And they were, like, holding this above the present talents' heads, like, oh, when we get a new generation, you know, our attention's gonna be so divided, kind of stuff, like, alleged manipulation there. So I was just like, this limit on the number of talents is so that I can use the remaining time in the week to plan and execute quality projects for the VTubers under my management. Actually, I did have 6 talents because I also had the single... I was managing the Gen 1, Gen 2, and then the Gen 2.5, so I did have 6 talents, yes. I forgot about that. So I said, here, I have these 6 girls, don't give me more. Yeah. Yeah, this limit is so that I can use the remaining time in the week to plan and execute quality projects for the VTubers under my management. I want to give the talents in Gen 1 and 2 priority to my services, which means we may need another manager on board for Gen 3, depending on how the contract negotiations go. Depending on if the VTubers want to sign on again or not. The reason I'm interested in giving generations priority is because I'd like to give Gen 1 and 2 more value. Because as veteran VTubers, they should take priority. This is a public expectation that the VTuber community has set by agencies in Asia, such as Niji Sanji and Hololive. I was like trying to pull the like senpai kohai card of like, hey, these girls freaking built your company. Can we like have some decorum and like give them basic common decency of a manager? And then I said I could recommend other managers experienced with VTubers if needed. Because again, I was, you know, working on the back end of VTubers previously. It is important that we keep a professional work relationship with everyone in the company. And an excellent way to do this is to have an HR representative in the company. I genuinely feel like the talents at VReverie would feel a lot more comfortable if they had an HR representative as a professional mediator. Given the unprofessional direction that some conversations have gone in the company, I think it is highly necessary. I do understand that hiring HR rep is possibly out of the budget at this time. Even so, I believe it is necessary that the talents can decline direct messages from management or particular managers and go through a third party for communication if they so choose. I am happy to be an online third party mediator wherever needed. I think this speaks for itself. This was week 1. This was week 1. This was the first week of my job. And then the last thing I wrote, Generation 3 concerns. There is an increasing feeling among all of VReverie's talents that the support for prior generations will decrease once Gen 3 debuts. As previously mentioned, this will affect VReverie's public image greatly. So yeah, first week. That's a good week, right? It's a good first week. Oh, my tummy hurts. This rate, I think the girls were glad to have at least someone who heard when you came along, yeah. I'm surprised this did not fall apart sooner. Harry, it was because these girls, the 6 girls, and honestly, Cherry and Erica also held on for longer than most sane people would have. They all held on because they really, really, really loved their communities, and they did not want to lose them. They did it for the fans. Each and every one of the girls that I met from VReverie were nothing but sweet as pie. They just wanted to create for their fans. It is tragic. Everything that happened to them was tragic. The stuff they would go through and then just put on a smile after needing an HR representative badly, day in and day out. Like, I cried over these girls several times. And so I stuck around. I stuck around for a bit. But I couldn't do much. I couldn't do much. And I wish I did more. All I could really do was lend an ear. But it was in my contract that I couldn't solicit. I couldn't, like, help them get out, really. Like I said, I was only there for, like, the last 25% of the company, if that. I didn't stick around for very long. I really tried. But when it got to the point where Lyle and Harry were giving me a hard time, I started, and I don't talk about my mental health a lot, so I'm sorry, but number one, something else happened when I was in this company. I got a concussion. A very, very severe one at that. I would say it's pretty severe. Where I think my Bat Bunch might remember this. I was crouched down in the shower, like 5 feet away from like the shower head, and the shower head fell off the wall mount and hit me in the back of the skull. And you know, lost consciousness for a little bit. And I did not feel good after that. I had concussion symptoms for, I want to say 8 months. So after that happened, my management ability also decreased. Was this the first or the second concussion? That was the first one as me being a content creator. That was the third one in my life. And now I'm on concussion 5, but that's besides the point of this story. But yeah, I had that going for me, unfortunately. So that made my ability to manage a lot worse. And it got to the point where I couldn't get myself to attend meetings with upper management anymore because the way they would talk to me was so disrespectful that I started having panic attacks. Like, I would like mute my mic so that no one could hear me, but I was like crying and hyperventilating from the way they would talk to me. And then there was this one day, I remember it so despite having like memory loss and stuff, I remember it so vividly. The day I decided to quit. So they were getting ready for Gen 3 debuts. And the one part of my contract that was hard was I had to give 1 month's notice before I leave. But that day, I could not bring my hand. My hand was completely frozen. I could not bring my hand to answer the Discord call with my mouse. Like, it was frozen. My brain kept telling my hand, move and click, and my hand would not. And that's the first time that has ever happened at a job. I've worked at I've worked at an animal hospital. I've worked some high stress, like high, fast-paced environments. But I could not bring myself to click answer call on Discord, and that's when I decided to leave. When I did decide to leave, I was not allowed to tell the talents that I was leaving. I gave upper management my notice of leave, but I had to be there for another month. I helped them plan this gen, but I never met any of the talents of this gen. They protected the gen from meeting me because they didn't want them to know that this was a bad company. So anyone who knew the truth about V-Reverie wasn't allowed to talk to them. And that also went for the talents. Now, in my document, I also said that I also said that there was like contract negotiations and stuff happening, right? Some of them decided to not renew their contract. Some of them did, but others, like, didn't, right? The ones who decided to not renew their contract were very upset. And the reason why it was a hard decision is because the ones who decided to not renew their contract, some of them worked on their models themselves. Like, it was their model. Like, they were adopted into the company. So it's like if tomorrow I join a VTuber agency, like, named V-Fruity or whatever. And they say, yeah, you can join as Yam. V-Fruity's like, we'll just put a thing in your contract that says, you know, we own your IP, but you can always buy it back from us. However, allegedly they had like a sliding scale. I don't know how it worked because wasn't my contract, but when I said my contract was fine, but other people's contracts were not fine, this is what I mean. They had like a sliding scale of IP. Like IP value, evaluation, you know? And unfortunately, because some of these talents grew so high, their IPs were like valued a crazy amount. Buyback with a sliding scale price, yeah. So like their thing was like valued at more money than I've ever had in my bank account, let's just say that much. And it was just I talked to some of them and like it was tragic. It was tragic that they lost their identity to this company. And even like the ones who were given an IP, they had been with that IP for years, and they had to pay for most of the art and the overlays and everything themselves. Cherry rigged her own model. Like, yeah. It's 100% a scam if they can just make the price whatever they think. Yeah, and, you know, I would say that Lyle and Harry were very, from my perspective, they were very petty people who, if you got on their bad side, that's when they started, like, treating you horribly. And then they would, like, if you were on their good side, they would, like, flaunt how good they treat you over the other talents. Like, oh, if you were just trustworthy, if you just did what we said, we would treat you good too. They were gross people. Yeah. The more you made, the more they wanted to buy out, basically. Also sounds like the evaluation was arbitrary, so if they didn't like you, they could make sure you weren't buying your IP back. So yeah. I had to leave, and because I literally couldn't bring myself to attend upper management meetings anyway after the way I was spoken to over and over again. But I wasn't allowed to tell the talents that I was leaving. I had to just go to meetings like nothing was happening. And then at the very end of it all, I was still working, but I wasn't attending upper management meetings, but I wasn't working a ton, and I wasn't doing everything that they asked of me. But surely the end of the contract came, right? And then they didn't want to pay me for the last month because they said you didn't attend the meetings. But I was like expecting and relying on that income coming in. Because again, I had a brain injury. I had a brain injury. This was my only form of income through that brain injury. I was like living in the dark in my room. You know? I didn't get all that money that I was owed, but I got some of it, and I just took it, and I was so upset that I just deleted the Hazel Sandpiper Discord completely. I took no screenshots, I just deleted the whole thing. I yeeted it into the sun. And that was the end of it. I ended up making 2 video essays. I ended up making 2 video essays on my opinions about black companies, red flag agencies as I call them. And I also made a pretty scathing video on indies are the future because agencies suck. And that was coming off the tail end of that experience. I basically, because I couldn't speak out about this company, I basically hid under general statements to make sure that, you know, I wasn't breaking contract. Yeah. So yeah. That's it. Yep. Please, if you want to figure out where these talents are, it's not too hard to find them. I'm not gonna link them here just in case, like, I don't want anyone to get harassed. But please, I am certified, each and every single one of these talents are darling. They're the reason why I tried so hard to stay. That's why I stayed to the point of not being able to move my hand to even answer Discord calls anymore. That's why I stayed. It was for them. It wasn't even like trying to power through, like, to get like the resume experience. It wasn't even that. It was just I loved them so dearly, you know? After this, I swore off, number one, I swore off VTuber agencies, but I was so burnt out. I was so freaking burnt out that I almost quit as Yam altogether. And I went into a different profession because I needed to get away from the internet. After that, like, mentally, I couldn't do it. So I think a lot of my, like, long-term fans know that I barely posted in 2024. That is why. It's because I started 2024, like, I ended, like, 2023, 2024. Yeah. It was really, really rough. Yeah. So I went into dog bathing and then dog grooming for a bit until I got reached out by one of my talents, my current talents. Hey, are you still doing the VTuber management stuff? And I was like, not really, but for you, I can try it again. And then I slowly built up my clientele on the indie side again. And I bounced back in 2025, until I could make it, I mean, not full-time living, but the living I can make off of it. And now I have a roster of 7 talents again. And I'm doing okay. So yeah. That's the story of my silly VTuber agency experience. We don't have a BGM. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I said that, like, yeah. Oh, I mean, like, the story of Reverie continued, but that's how long I was a part of the, like, that's how long I was a part of it, you know? Am I doing okay? Yeah, I'm doing fine. I mean, after that I got 2 more concussions and I'm currently recovering from that, so just a lot of brain damage. But obviously, like, I recovered. I still like VTubers. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that, like, things all worked out. Might I recommend a helmet? I know that, like, that sounds like I do need a helmet, but I'm really fine. Yeah. I mean, you say so sorry I didn't know, but, like, no one could have known. We all kind of had to just, like, wait, you know? But, recently, you know, the, Briat Cookie Box, Cherry Lupina, she did a little stream on it, so I was just like, oh, okay, yeah. You were in survivor mode that year. Oh, yeah, so much. Can chat find you a bubble? That's very funny. No, I'm fine, guys. You know, just taking it one day at a time. I'm really thankful that, you know, I can have a, I forgot my sentence. I forgot it mid-sentence. Yeah. I'm glad I can have a profession that, supports me and my healing and my many doctor's appointments and all that, but yeah. I'm glad that I gave VTuber management another chance. Because I thought I was done with VTubers for good after my experience with V-Reverie. But, I'm glad I gave VTuber management a chance because, again, with V-Reverie, I had 0 issues with the talents. Like, none. They were honestly just happy to have some support. So now that I'm an indie VTuber manager, I get the best part of being a manager without the company, like, enforcing everything. Yeah. This time your health is a priority though, right? Yeah, I only work 10 to 15 hours a week currently. I'm very much, you know, very much resting and taking my health there very seriously. Totally understandable to need a break after all you went through, but I'm glad you came back and you're doing well with your indies and your own streams. Yeah. I mean, it's weird for me to say, oh, after all I went through. Because again, some of these VTubers were putting up with that for 2 years. I was barely there. In the grand scheme of things, I was barely there. Like, seriously, I was not there for long enough to feel just how awful it was, you know? So many of them, you know... Ugh. My heart hurts for them, but I'm so glad that all of them, pretty much all of them, continued to do VTubing and have settled into different lives, yeah. So yeah. For anyone who was curious, it's here. That's it, really. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will end on YouTube and raid out on Twitch. Oh, Murdragon has something. It puts into perspective the stuff they went through, really. If it was that bad with you being there for a short time, it shows that was far worse. I think my one, like, regret is I couldn't change more for them. I really changed nothing. In the end, I got nothing done other than, you know, just emotionally supporting them. That's all I could do. But yeah. We'll end on YouTube. We'll raid out on Twitch. Wednesday will be Bible study. And Sunday will once again be Silent Hill F. Make sure you're subscribed to both my YouTube channels. If you are a VTuber looking for VTuber management from an indie VTuber manager, feel free to reach out. And join my Discord if you want to chat with me more off of streams. Yeah. Alright, so thank you everybody so much for watching. And as always, take care, Bat Bunch.